Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Free Total Gamers Podcast. I'm your host Colin here in Ashton.
Hey guys.
Sorry we took a random week off last week, but we're back at it this week, so we're going to get into it. Xbox to increase game prices, which I believe came out yesterday or today.
Yeah. So Xbox games are to cost $80 starting this year. As of May 1st, time recording yesterday, Microsoft has increased the prices of Xbox consoles and accessories. Some first party Xbox games will also cost $80 starting this holiday season. Xbox Game Pass subscribers will not see a price increase. Says in an updated post over on Xbox support, Microsoft said the price increases were made with careful consideration given market conditions and the rising cost of development, and that the company will continue to focus on offering more ways to play more games across any screen and ensuring value for Xbox players. While the increases vary by region, the US has been hit hard, with the price of an Xbox Series X console shooting up by $100 from $500 to $600. And then I have pricing for like everything for different countries. So it's a Xbox Series S 512 gigabyte goes from 299 to 379. Xbox Series S 1 terabyte goes from 350 to 430. Xbox Series Digital goes from 450 to 550. Xbox Series X goes from 500 to 600. Xbox Series X 2 terabyte Galaxy Special Edition goes from $600 to $730. And then the controller goes from, well, there's no increase for a controller, $65. Let's see. So I just covered the consoles from there. So that was for the US. For the UK, goes from 250 to 300. For a Xbox Series S 512, Xbox Series S 1 terabyte goes from 300 to 350. Xbox Series X digital goes from 430 to 450. So only $20 increase there. Xbox Series X goes from 480 to 500. Series X 2 terabyte Galaxy Special Edition goes from 550 to 590. And then once again with the controllers, no increases. For Europe, it goes from 300 to 350 for a Series S 512, Series S 1 terabyte, 350 to 400. Series X digital, 500 to 550. Series X 550 to 600. Series X 2 terabyte Galaxy, 650 to 700. And then no increase on the controllers. And our last country, Australia. Series S 512 goes up $50 from 500 to 550. Series S 1 terabyte 550 to 600. Series X digital 700 to 750. Series X 800 to 850. Series X 2 terabyte Galaxy Special Edition goes from 1000 to 1050. And no controller increases. So that's all I'll cover on that. There's a lot more, but I'll just cover the consoles and on that.
Yeah, yeah, which uh I got a little bit more, I mean not exclusively price wise, but reasons for the price increases per Xbox. Market conditions, Microsoft cites market conditions, which is widely interpreted as reference to tariffs. Rising costs in development, Microsoft also mentions the increasing cost of developing games. And the final reason, which is the reason why I said that Xbox or PlayStation hasn't said anything 2 weeks ago, is because Nintendo Switch 2 pricing.
Yep.
So, you know, I've seen that coming from a mile away because I'm just like, these companies are way too quiet not to be having something or trying it themselves. Because
Exactly.
as a competitor, why would you not take a leap and be like, oh yeah, we would never charge this much for games at this time?
Yeah, I mean, we seen it coming, but Sony, they increased the prices of their consoles. We covered it last time we recorded, I think it was, in
Hmm.
other countries, not the US yet, but they haven't said anything about software yet, so I'm sure that's coming from Sony too. If Microsoft and Nintendo have both said $80 games.
Which I know that little thing I just read said tariffs, but I know the Xbox isn't exclusively made in, United States, but it's still a American-based company.
Right. Yeah.
So it's weird that it's an actual thing, which I know nothing in America is pretty much American made to an extent, like especially console wise and stuff, because they ship it out to other countries, have them to build or whatever, get the
Right.
parts from there, and then get sent over here to get built.
Yeah.
Whichever way, but still, it's not solely made in America.
Right. Yeah. And parts are cheaper in other countries where the parts are manufactured. So,
Yeah. Like I said, it's insane that just in the past, what, 2 years, we've gone from a standard $60 to 2 years ago, it went up to 70 being the standard, and now 2 years later, because before a $60 game was for the past 20 years,
yeah.
what it had been. And then it went after 20 years, it went up $10. And then now it's gone up another $10 in just 2 years. Because again, Tears of the Kingdom was the first one to try the $70 price tag with just straight game.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, Nintendo, they're going to make it a game by game basis on how they're going to charge 70 or 80, but Microsoft, it says some first party Xbox games. So not every Xbox game is going to be $80, but majority of the first party games will be.
I
Same with
mean,
Nintendo.
yeah, but as far as actual Xbox goes, I think I don't know an exclusive that I would necessarily pay $80 a play. Maybe Halo at most.
Even,
That's still pushing it though.
yeah, since 343 took over, if it was back in
Yeah.
the Bungie days, yeah, for sure. But since 343 is like, I don't know if it's worth $80.
As I say, since Halo 4, it's not really been that good of a series, or,
No.
I don't know. I shouldn't be saying series because I'm not talking about the TV show, but you get what I'm saying.
Right, yeah. And
I guess still
uh,
technically it's considered a series of games.
yeah, series of games. And if you have Game Pass, all those first party titles are day one anyway. So why would you pay $80 when you can just pay for Game Pass and get those first party games and other games included?
Yeah, which they're not right now. They're not increasing the price of Game Pass, which this could be their slow switch to getting more people to Game Pass.
Yeah, and we talked about before not too long ago about the price increase on Game Pass, so they don't want to do it again because it's already what, it's like $20 almost for Ultimate a month.
I think so.
I don't pay that, and I know you don't, but most people do.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, they said we've known Xbox has been trying to go that route for a while, which even I was gonna put this one as a topic today, but I just skipped over that one, didn't add that one. Oh, hold on, let me double check. I make sure I didn't. I'm pretty sure I didn't. Yeah, no. So like even EA came out and say that cloud is like the way to go, and obviously Game Pass you can physically download, but you mainly try to focus on cloud games. That way you don't clog up all your storage on your, you know, whatever you're playing your games on.
Yeah, and I mean, Forza Horizon 5 released on PS5 what, last week, so
Hmm.
Xbox games aren't even exclusive anymore, at least not for very long. So
Yeah,
you can just tell that they're phasing out their console. They're phasing out even exclusive. So they're just trying to sell this Game Pass and just be a game developer instead of a console manufacturer.
yeah. Which I mean,
Eventually, after their
yeah,
Xbox handheld comes out, but
Yeah, because I'll be shocked if they stay into the game. Because the only way they're going to bypass that is again if they manage to get Steam on their actual console.
Yeah, and if it's running Windows, then they'll definitely get Steam on it.
Hmm. Which I mean will make it pretty much an undefeated thing at that point. But
Oh yeah,
that's still at least 2 years away.
yeah,
That is still a what if or if they do.
right. Yeah, a lot could happen before they even release it, and they could, for some reason, decide not to put Windows on it, and then Steam doesn't want to work with whatever the operating system they use. But I think they'd be stupid not to use Windows in a handheld. But whatever.
Especially since that's who their parent company owns too.
Right. Yeah.
Because obviously Xbox is owned by Microsoft.
Yeah. So
Yeah, people
they
don't need
could
Windows.
they could make Windows more friendly for handhelds to work on a handheld easier than what it does now. So it's just easy for them. At least to me, it looks like it would be easy for them to use Windows.
Yeah, but it's now you can't even get an Xbox Series S for what the price of a Switch would. I mean, so the Switch 2 is still slightly more than a Xbox Series S now.
Yeah, so 512 in the US is going to be 380, and then the 1 terabyte S is going to be 430. So 1 terabyte S is going to be $20 cheaper than a Switch 2.
Yeah, but Switch 2 only comes with 256 gigs, but Nintendo games aren't that big.
Right. And this is I mean, the Series S is a 5-year-old system. So,
Yeah, not a hybrid either.
right. You can't take it anywhere. I mean, you could, I guess, if you have a power inverter or a generator, but
Yeah. Or do what we did in old days and just pack your console with you and
and
take it somewhere
TVs.
else. Yeah, bring your own TVs too.
Yeah.
5 years ago.
That was 5 years ago.
Oh, all right. Sticking somewhat with Xbox and talking about them, but Oblivion Remastered reviews are out.
So I didn't do it for the Xbox. I think the Xbox was an 82 as well, but I have it for the PS5. It's an
It was.
82 with 19 critic reviews and then a 6.8 user score with 118 users. So, not bad. It seems like the critic score is a little bit better than the user score.
Yeah, and I think they're somewhat blinded by nostalgia
Yeah.
because the original was a 94 must play
Yeah.
with 90 critic reviews.
So yeah, it's probably a lot of returning critics that you know, reviewed that last original. So maybe they're just sticking with what they knew, and maybe it isn't. Maybe it is a 6.8 because critics are critics, and then actual players sometimes that'll tell you what it actually is, what how good the game actually is, what the user score is.
Yeah, yeah. Same way. I mean, it works the same way with like movie theaters too, with Rotten
Yeah,
Tomatoes, because the critics are because Mario movie was an absolute bomb when it came down to the critics, but the user review was in the 90s,
yeah,
or the actual viewer review, not player. So yeah, I mean, but for it to drop by 12 points and not to be a must play now shows that did the critics really know what they was talking about in the early 2000s.
probably not.
That in there, I mean, I guess there is less reviews right now, but I don't know why the same, people wouldn't try to review 20 some years later
Right,
or almost 20 years later. Can't remember, did it came out in '09,
I think so.
'08, '09? Yeah. I mean, I've never been an Elder Scrolls person, but I'm just like,
Me
oh,
either.
I was like, Oblivion has It's like Oblivion came out. I was like, I don't plan on playing it, but obviously I can do a topic on it because it did have a previous game that was real well rated.
Yeah. And there's a ton of people that's into the Elder Scrolls games.
Oh yeah, I know
But
quite a few people, but like I said, I just can't get into those style of games.
no.
I mean, it's not a true like RPG. I mean, it is an RPG, but it's not like a turn-based RPG.
Right.
Reminds me of, I mean, obviously like a Fallout situation, but with dragons instead of radioactive waste.
Yeah.
Which, of course, I think I don't know. That could just be Skyrim. I was like, I ain't played Skyrim's the only one I really know anything about.
I don't even know much about it. I've just seen videos on it. I've never actually played it.
Yeah. Oblivion and Morrowind, which is Morrowind was the third game and Oblivion was the fourth game in the series. So, which I think Morrowind was even, I think it was a 96 or a 97 on Metacritic
Wow.
originally. But it seems like they're making remasters in a weird way instead of, because they could have remastered Morrowind first and then, Oblivion, then Skyrim, but instead they remade Skyrim first. Now they're doing Oblivion.
Yeah.
They're doing it backwards.
And I think the PC version was just 1 point higher on the critic side with an 83, I think.
Yeah. But
What I
still, an
saw.
average 82, 82, 83, it's still going to be closer to 82 total.
Yeah. I didn't look at the
So,
user scores for those other consoles because I think PS5 had the most reviews on it at the time that I looked.
yeah. Which again, that's a Bethesda game. So, I mean, and Xbox owns Bethesda, but those aren't even ever exclusives either.
No, except
Because Bethesda
for
always releases everybody, except for Starfield, was
Starfield.
it?
Yeah.
That's the only one recently that's gone, just exclusive.
Yeah.
Because you got like Dishonored that dropped both consoles when it first came out. That's Bethesda. Yeah,
Yeah.
Bethesda usually just says, "Screw you, Microsoft, you own me, but I want to release everywhere."
Yeah. And usually, I mean, their games are okay, but they're not. They're named
They always seem like they have some
Bugthesda
sort
for a
of bug
reason.
issue. Yeah,
Yeah. Bugthesda.
which I mean, it seems like they have overarching decent stories, but not nothing compared to what Sony could produce story
No.
wise.
Sony, their games have really good stories. That's the best thing about Sony and their games. Gameplay, yeah, the gameplay's good, but the stories are just another level compared to other companies.
Oh yeah, for sure. Or at least the companies that's underneath Sony that actually makes the games, like Santa Monica Studios and Naughty Dog.
Yeah. Like you
Because I
got
don't guess
Sony's
Sony never
level
will.
stories and Zelda on a tier by themselves, and then everybody else is just below.
Yeah. That's like people getting mad at the Last of Us TV series. I'm just like, oh, I was like, no one told you about the games?
Like you didn't play the games, you didn't know nothing about the series, you know nothing about what's going to happen.
Yeah. I still laughed at Sierra's reaction to Joel.
She didn't know.
She didn't know. I didn't tell her.
Summer knew because she's seen it, I think, on TikTok or something. But obviously, I knew. I didn't tell her. But
Yeah. I'm just like, yeah. I'm just like, well, why didn't you tell me? That would ruin it.
yeah,
If I would have told you, you would have got mad at me.
yep,
I didn't say anything. You still got mad at me.
can't win.
Nope. But your reaction was still priceless nonetheless.
I mean, yeah, it
Yeah.
sucks, but that's how the game is. So,
Get mad at Naughty Dog.
yep,
It was that part did not, well, it was a little less graphic in the TV show.
yeah, definitely. It's kind of a. I don't want to say a letdown, but it kind of was like because I knew how the game was and what I was expecting was not what I seen on the TV.
Yeah. Plus,
Because
in the game, Joel didn't get an explanation.
yeah, and there's definitely a lot more torture.
Definitely. But I don't know. It's an M-rated show, so I don't know why they couldn't necessarily. I mean, a MA rated show because obviously it's an M-rated game.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't know why
definitely a lot
shows
worse that's been
stray away
shown on
from that.
TV.
Oh yeah, especially when everyone's like, "Oh, we're good." I'm just like, no, that was going to happen. Like I knew this since the beginning.
Since
But how they're
episode one,
following the
season
story
one.
arc, how they're following the story arc so far, guess what? You're not going to get for a very, very long time, people. You're not going to get a Last of Us season 3 because
Yeah, because there's not even
there's
a
no
third
third
game.
game. That's the only thing they're doing at this point. They're just, Last of Us season 1 was game 1, and now Last of Us season 2 is game 2.
Yep. Unless
And what we
when
heard about
season three comes out, they announce the game at the same time or something.
that would be insane.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But
Especially
I
since,
doubt
like,
it.
what, 6 months ago they said they wasn't even nowhere. They scrapped the idea of what they did have for the game.
Yeah. And then also what we talked about, I don't know, maybe a year ago about a rumored Tommy spinoff game. So maybe they'll make a spinoff series after that and release that game or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, well. Guess we'll find out. But Sony is possibly making a biometric controller.
All right. So it says there are indications that Sony is exploring biometric technology for PS5 controllers, according to GameRant. Specifically, they filed patents for controllers that can measure players' biofeedback and adjust game difficulty or settings accordingly. This could involve light sensors in the controller's handles to analyze compounds in the skin, such as corti- cortisol or glucose, and adjust gameplay based on those readings. Here's a more detailed look. Biometric sensors says that they would monitor players' heart rate, sweat levels, and other data. In-game adjustments to biometric data could be used to adjust game difficulty, alter matchmaking in multiplayer games, or personalize in-game settings based on the player's current stress or fatigue level. And then the light sensors. One patent outlines a system using light sensors in the controller's handles to analyze compounds to the skin of the palm. Potential applications. This technology could allow for difficulty scaling in single player games, adjusted matchmaking in multiplayer, or personalized gameplay experiences based on a player's state of mind. So, definitely a interesting idea, and I could see how it would work, but it's just weird. So many sensors in a controller.
Yeah. And
And
especially on their first party games. Like
yeah.
just talking to Last of Us in the last, topic for somewhat whenever I was mentioning it right there shortly. Imagine playing that game with biometric system one.
Yeah.
Like you would constantly be on an easy level if if you got scared easy or whatever.
Yeah.
And you got something like Spider-Man, like, oh, okay, I'm swinging through New York
Pretty laid
City, and
back.
yeah,
Or even God of War, like it's not scary or anything, but just I don't know. Just it'd be
we still
different.
catch you off guard occasionally.
Yeah. I'd hate one thing though, I'd hate to see the price of this controller with all
Oh
those
yeah,
sensors and
definitely.
stuff in it.
It seems
Definitely
like they're,
probably close to a $200 controller, I would think.
I would say over
Yeah.
because you think Xbox they're trying to make their little accessibility controller, but I think a biometric one would be the most accessible controller it would be, like for accessibility purposes, because it's literally just sensing your actual what your body's doing,
Yeah.
and
From
you
what
wouldn't
I
technically.
understand, it would still have buttons and sticks, but like the sensors would just sense with everything. But
How come I'm imagining it like at I can't remember what it's called from Nintendo, but like in the older days on Nintendo where you had the power I think it was the power glove.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I can see that being somewhat of a thing. I know Nintendo has it patented, but they don't have the obviously that one don't have the technology of measuring your body's sensations.
yeah. Definitely not for the NES.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's probably where they got their idea from was like a power glove.
Yeah, maybe. I just had it pictured as an actual like controller, just with those sensors built into the handles. But yeah, it might be some kind of power glove or something.
Oh, when I think of like when it's trying to pick up your what your skin's doing, like yeah, you can get a pulse from it for your actual fingers, but you're not really going to pick up that much because I mean, yes, most people hold a controller the same way, but some people put more pressure on a controller than other people do just naturally,
Yeah,
which could affect the gameplay in itself, not even intentionally, just how you grab something.
yeah. And that could be
But if you,
why it measures different things, your heart rate, your sweat levels, and everything. So to kind of balance out for people that do hold it maybe tighter, it kind of can read, oh, you're heart holding it tight, but your heart rate's not up. So you know that must be how you actually play.
yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I guess technically, if you had a good enough sensor, you could pick up the heartbeat in the hand.
Yeah. Who knows?
But you,
It's weird.
yeah,
If it'll even happen, it's just we don't know
yeah,
yet.
because it's been a concept since May 22, because that's whenever they released a patent in the United Kingdom, and then we just got ours, their patent in the United States last month.
Yeah.
Well, a couple days ago because it just when we turned May at the time of recording.
Yeah.
But yeah, whenever it's uh where it says like glucose levels and stuff, because that's blood sugar.
Yeah.
That's just
It's gonna
weird.
take your blood. I don't know.
Blood, draw blood from you.
Yeah.
If you get your arm chopped off in God of War, you lose your arm in real life.
There you go. It's realistic gameplay there.
Up the stakes right there.
Yeah. That'll get your heart
Uh,
rate going.
That's right. If they ever come out with a Yu-Gi-Oh game again, you can get sent to the real life Shadow Realm.
There you go.
Oh,
Weird stuff. So, like in 10
goodness.
years, just we're gonna have so much. I think we're gonna have so much weird stuff when it comes to gaming stuff we never think about having sensors and all kinds of crap in them.
I mean, there's a lot more stuff than what I would expect from just 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, what we're getting.
Even Sony's PS5 controllers now with the triggers, how they adapt to whatever game you're playing, on how stiff they are and stuff. Like it's pretty cool. Like when you're shooting a gun, it obviously doesn't feel like you're shooting a gun, but it tries to like feel like a trigger, so it's not like just a analog trigger. Like it actually has some resistance to it. So it's pretty cool how they've even managed to do that.
Yeah, but that's still the worse on first party titles done on it.
I'm not sure. That's all I've ever played on the PC was first party. I'm sure third party is some third parties have used the feature.
They say because I can only imagine something like Call of Duty because that seems like it would give you an unfair advantage if you was playing against other controller users.
Yeah.
Because you think how far you gotta pull down, which I know every time you're pulling a firing a fully automatic weapon, I'll be able to get it out eventually. Uh, on Xbox, obviously you're just holding down the trigger, but if you're like doing like a semi-automatic situation or a sniper rifle, that because it acts like an actual trigger point, from where you would actually release on a gun. Which I know you're just like me; you've shot plenty of guns in your life to know that there's that certain feel and how light of a trigger can be compared to how strong a trigger can be.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, okay, which gun is? It's going to adapt to which gun you're using when you're sweating.
Right. And some guns just have a long trigger that acts as a safety. So different guns are different.
Well, yeah, for sure.
But
I'd even go as far as saying it's kind of like a vehicle too, even though they're the same thing. It don't mean they're going to do the same exact thing each time either.
right. Yep.
Oh, but that is all the time we have for today, guys. Thank you for watching or listening. Follow our socials on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Got merch on Redbubble and TeePublic. I think that's it.
Yep.
All right, later, guys.
All right. Catch you guys next week.